The long-awaited process for acquiring the United States of Africa passport has been revealed, and its simplicity may come as a surprise. However, a critical rule attached to it is catching many by storm. Stay with us to understand the complete procedure, who is eligible, and the historic new announcement from President Ibrahim Traoré. In a remarkable development that has sent waves of excitement across Africa and its global diaspora, President Ibrahim Traoré delivered a powerful national address from the presidential offices in Ouagadougou. Without the usual pomp and circumstance, he elaborated on the regulations, the intent, and the profound mission behind the United States of Africa passport. This time, the message was broadcast directly to the nation, its tone firm and charged with emotion. Our people were torn apart, fractured, and given new names, Traoré stated in his address. But their heritage was never forgotten. And now, Africa is summoning its children to return, not just in spirit, but with official documentation, with restored dignity, and with a shared destiny. As per the new directive, the United States of Africa passport is now accessible to any individual of African lineage. This includes citizens from Jamaica, Haiti, Trinidad and Tobago, Barbados, the Bahamas, Grenada, St. Kitts and Nevis, Dominica, St. Lucia, Antigua, and Barbuda, and Black Americans who can provide verifiable proof of their ancestral link to the continent. In a staggering show of response, applications soared past 600,000 in merely 5 days. What is new is a sophisticated, multi-tiered verification system, now mandated for eligibility. Candidates are required to submit either a birth certificate, official family records, or DNA ancestry analysis that connects them to Africa. For individuals who cannot immediately furnish such proof, President Traoré announced that genetic testing facilities are being established in key global regions, including the United States, the Caribbean, and Europe, to accelerate the verification process. If you believe in Traoré's vision for African sovereignty, hit that like button and share this story to help spread the truth about Burkina Faso's awakening. President Traoré was also unequivocally clear on another point. This is not an open invitation for everyone, he cautioned. No one who promotes hatred against Africa or undermines our unity will be permitted to hold this passport. This document signifies a sacred bond of trust, not a mere travel novelty. It will not be granted to those who ridicule Africa, but only to those who cherish her. New security protocols now mandate that every applicant complete a brief security interview and a thorough background investigation. Any political, religious, or financial organizations found trying to exploit the passport initiative for their own agenda will face immediate and permanent bans. To manage the immense workload, the main passport headquarters in Burkina Faso has recruited over 1,200 new employees to process the daily deluge of applications. Traoré also made it plain that any African nation refusing to grant visa-free entry to passport holders will face diplomatic isolation. He reiterated the continent's new guiding principle, Africa for Africans, and that includes our diaspora. No African should ever require a visa to set foot on African soil. The statement concluded with words that reportedly left many listeners with goosebumps. This passport is not a simple piece of paper. It is the very key to our restoration. It is the ultimate symbol of return. Our stolen sons and daughters are not visitors. They are coming home. The international media is still struggling to catch up. Several prominent Western news organizations have downplayed the passport initiative as purely symbolic, while others raise alarms that it might create complications for existing immigration laws. But on African ground and throughout Black communities in the Caribbean, Europe, and North America, the move is being hailed as nothing short of revolutionary. The African Union has convened an emergency session to expedite full continental adoption of the passport. In Nigeria, a retired academic described the initiative as the final crack in the Berlin Wall of African division. In Trinidad, a young woman waiting in a queue at a newly established embassy office said through tears, "For the first time, we are not being asked to justify our worth. We are being told that we belong." As President Ibrahim Traoré's message continues to resonate across the globe, the demand for the United States of Africa passport has surged to unprecedented heights. Large crowds are gathering outside embassies and consulates in New York, Kingston, Port of Spain, London, Paris, Lagos, and Accra, with many hopefuls lining up as early as 4 a.m. Back in Burkina Faso, the Central Passport Processing Center in Ouagadougou is now running 24 hours a day. Advanced biometric equipment has been flown in from South Africa and Kenya, and satellite offices are being set up in other major African cities to distribute the immense workload. The processing time, which was initially projected to be 4 months, has now been shortened to just 6 weeks for applicants whose verification is complete. President Traoré's speech ignited powerful emotions worldwide, particularly when he declared, "We owe our diaspora more than a simple apology. We owe them a pathway home. The era of empty promises has ended. The era of black unity is here." His words are now trending all over African American social media platforms. Influential figures, academics, and activists have lauded the profound clarity of his vision. In Atlanta, a university professor proclaimed, "This is not just a policy, it is a revolution in paper form." For the first time in modern history, Black Americans are being invited to claim not just their heritage, but their citizenship. Traoré has also founded the Office for Pan-African Repatriation and Identity. This new ministry is tasked with overseeing migration, facilitating cultural reintegration, and providing economic assistance for members of the diaspora who choose to permanently relocate. The office will collaborate closely with each applicant to ensure their move to Africa is not merely symbolic, but truly sustainable. In a recent update, Traoré confirmed that repatriates will be eligible for housing grants, opportunities for land leases, designated tax-free business zones, and educational support for their children. He also hinted that the forthcoming African Constitution will codify new rights specifically for diaspora citizens. The Caribbean nations named in the initiative have responded with overwhelming positivity. The Prime Minister of Jamaica released an official statement affirming, "We embrace this vision. The call to return is a call our people have awaited for centuries." Meanwhile, in the United States, leaders within black communities in cities such as Detroit, Baltimore, Houston, and Chicago are organizing informational workshops and passport registration events. A number of churches and grassroots movements have stepped forward to help citizens gather their required documents and facilitate DNA testing when needed. Nevertheless, the verification process remains exceptionally strict. The security measures are meticulously designed to prevent infiltration by individuals or groups aiming to sabotage this unification movement. According to the new regulations, applicants are required to declare any existing connections to foreign intelligence agencies, specific political affiliations, or ties to anti-African organizations. While dual citizenship will be recognized, an oath of allegiance to the cause of African unity must be taken during the official ceremony. Applicants caught attempting to forge documents or submit fraudulent claims will be barred from applying for 10 years. Do you believe this passport is a critical step for Africa to finally reclaim its destiny from outside influence? Comment yes if you agree. Despite these rigorous standards, the atmosphere on the ground is one of profound hope and historic reconciliation. In Barbados, a woman waiting for her interview shared her story, saying, "My ancestors were sold from Ghana. I have never been to Africa, but today, I am finally going home." President Traoré concluded his message with a potent reminder. The physical chains were broken a long time ago, but the gates to home were never truly reopened. We are opening them now, not with apprehension, but with honor. We are not seeking the world's permission to do this. We are acting in the name of justice. In just 3 days following this updated announcement, over 2.3 million online applications overwhelmed the central database. More than 500,000 of these came from African Americans, and nearly 400,000 originated from Caribbean nations, particularly Jamaica, Barbados, Trinidad and Tobago, Grenada, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Antigua and Barbuda, Dominica, and the Bahamas. Officials are calling it the largest single application event in the history of African migration. The official website crashed twice in the first 24 hours, forcing engineers to work around the clock to upgrade its server capacity. In Ouagadougou, newly enlisted volunteers and staff are meticulously sorting through physical applications, some of which were delivered by hand from remote villages or sent via diplomatic channels from foreign embassies. Despite the immense logistical strain, President Traoré remained composed. His office issued another concise statement. Africa is not overwhelmed. We are reawakening. Let the entire world witness what unfolds when black people resolve to unite across oceans. Inside the primary passport processing facility in Burkina Faso, large screens display real-time data, application counts per country, DNA results being cross-referenced, and active verification queues. A secure room has been established for security personnel to meticulously screen the intentions of each applicant. Their stated priority is to shield the continent from foreign manipulation while warmly welcoming the true sons and daughters of Africa. The eligibility criteria have been further refined. Those lacking African birth certificates can opt for DNA testing through accredited laboratories. Applicants must possess clean criminal records, particularly concerning political crimes or fraudulent activities. All candidates must pledge their support for African unity and commit to not engaging in any movements that foster division, tribalism, or neocolonialism. In the Caribbean, major urban centers like Kingston, Port of Spain, and Bridgetown are witnessing extensive queues outside temporary application centers. People are patiently waiting for hours under the sun, their faces filled with smiles and optimism. Local radio stations are broadcasting African music, and elders are seen weeping as they tell the younger generations, "Your great-grandmother dreamt of seeing this day." For African Americans, the emotional significance is even more profound. In Atlanta, a 52-year-old woman named Tanya, clutching her application form, said, "For 400 years, we were told we came from nowhere. Now, Africa is telling us, you are from here, and we have missed you." President Traoré has requested that African airlines and regional carriers develop special discounted airfares for new passport holders once their applications are approved. He is also urging African nations to establish welcoming communities, towns, and cities complete with housing, healthcare services, and employment opportunities for returning diaspora citizens. Meanwhile, Western media outlets continue to cover this story with a mixture of skepticism and outright silence. One European newspaper questioned whether Africa could manage the logistical burden of mass return migration. However, President Traoré's supporters were quick to respond. It is never a burden to welcome family. The true burden is the history we all carry, and we are now choosing to carry it together. This initiative is no longer just a symbolic act. It is transforming into a continental policy, a tangible pan-African reality, and an emotional bridge connecting centuries of suffering with a future of healing. Back in Burkina Faso, a new passport design is being finalized. Its cover will feature a golden map of Africa, with the bold inscription, United States of Africa, and the holder's national origin below, such as United States of Africa, Barbados, or United States of Africa, United States. In President Traoré's own words, this passport is not just a document, it is a homecoming, it is a reunion, and it is the future of a united black world. As the Passport Initiative builds momentum, personal stories from around the globe have started to emerge. Tales of reconnection, powerful emotion, and long-awaited identity. In Chicago, a young African-American man named Malik broke down in tears upon receiving a confirmation email that read, "Your application has been approved. You are now a citizen of the United States of Africa, Ghana." He recorded a video of himself reading the message aloud, and within hours, it went viral. His reaction captured a shared sentiment. "I was born in America, but Africa just gave me my soul back." Similar outpourings of emotion are erupting across the Caribbean islands. In Kingston, Jamaica, spontaneous celebrations broke out in Emancipation Park. where a local event was organized for new applicants. A 67-year-old woman, Miss Dora, adorned in traditional kente cloth, addressed the crowd. For centuries, we were Africa's forgotten children, but today, Africa is calling us home. This passport is the evidence that history is being rewritten. In Barbados, the Prime Minister issued a public statement thanking President Ibrahim Traoré for his courage and vision. Several other Caribbean leaders, including those from St. Kitts and Nevis, Antigua and Barbuda, and the Dominican Republic, have shown interest in aligning with the program. Quiet discussions are reportedly in progress to establish local passport processing centers to alleviate the strain on Burkina Faso's central facility. Meanwhile, Ibrahim Traoré convened a closed-door meeting with leaders from the African Union. His demeanor was serious, his request direct. Mutual recognition of the new United States of Africa passport across all African borders. Within 2 days, 39 nations had signed the preliminary accord. From Nigeria to Rwanda and from Senegal to Ethiopia, immigration checkpoints are being updated. Traoré is adamant that there will be no need for visas between African brothers and sisters. No more waiting rooms for your own home, he declared. Anyone who denies this passport is denying Africa itself. A new policy was also enacted, stating that any foreign country refusing entry to a United States of Africa passport holder without a clear and justifiable reason will face diplomatic and economic repercussions, including potential suspension from African trade agreements. This assertive new posture is beginning to shift the global dynamic. In Paris and Washington, policymakers are voicing their concerns. Western embassies are demanding clarifications. Some commentators have labeled it aggressive nationalism, but Traoré's supporters see it very differently. This is not nationalism. This is finally achieving normalcy. The black world has waited far too long to have a place to belong. At a subsequent press conference, President Traoré addressed the international backlash with his characteristic calm and clarity. Africa is not closing its doors. We are simply opening our arms to our own people. Those who have profited from our division have no moral standing to question our unity. Inside Burkina Faso's capital, additional passport printing machines are being imported. Hundreds of young information technology professionals have been hired to accelerate the digital verification process. A new passport authority building is now under construction, planned to be 5 times larger than the current facility to accommodate the continuing wave of applicants. Candidates must still navigate the rigorous vetting process. The rules remain strict. Any individual discovered to be promoting hatred, destabilization, or anti-African ideologies will be rejected. The focus is not just on heritage, but on shared values. As the official policy outlines, we are not merely searching for descendants, we are calling home the builders of our future. Plans are now being developed to construct United States of Africa embassies in nations with significant diaspora populations, starting with the United States, the United Kingdom, France, Canada, and Brazil. These embassies will provide consular services, facilitate cultural exchange programs, and offer support systems for new passport holders who are preparing to relocate. In a broadcast aimed at the diaspora, President Traoré concluded with a stirring message. You were sold. You were scattered. You were silenced. But now, you are seen. And soon, you will be home. All across the world, African descendants are beginning to prepare for a journey that many believed was impossible. A return home, not as visitors, but as full citizens. In New York, Los Angeles, Toronto, Port of Spain, and Kingston, people are forming long queues outside, makeshift registration centers operating in partnership with African embassies. Volunteers in shirts bearing the slogan, United States of Africa, Diaspora. Welcome team are assisting applicants with forms, document verification, and questions about eligibility. Thousands are applying every day in the Caribbean, with a notable surge in Jamaica, Barbados, Trinidad and Tobago, Grenada, St. Lucia, and the Bahamas. The response has been nothing short of phenomenal. Several Caribbean nations have begun to organize national workshops to help their citizens trace their African ancestry and understand the mechanics of the new passport program. Local radio stations are providing daily updates on its progress. Social media is awash with videos of Caribbean youth declaring, "Africa, we're coming home." A woman in St. Kitts shared a deeply moving video, tears in her eyes, as she held up her late grandmother's Bible, which contained handwritten notes tracing their family's African lineage. "She always told us we were African," she said. "Now I know she was right." Back in Washington, D.C., a number of prominent African-American leaders and celebrities have praised Ibrahim Traoré's audacious move. Several have publicly announced their intention to apply for the passport. Some are making plans to invest in housing, schools, and businesses on the continent, while others speak of visiting their ancestral towns. One renowned African-American artist stated during a live interview, "For the first time in my life, I feel that I'm not just black. I am African, and the world can no longer deny it." But the celebration is not universal. In Europe and North America, some political commentators are expressing alarm that this new African passport could establish an alternative global system, one where black people no longer depend on Western validation to belong, travel, or invest. Certain media outlets have criticized the vetting process, labeling it exclusionary. Others are raising questions about the potential economic and geopolitical fallout. But in Africa, the momentum is unstoppable. In Burkina Faso, President Traoré delivered another televised address. Dressed in traditional West African garments and standing before a massive map of Africa, he spoke with conviction. "This passport is not a weapon. It is a key. It is the key to our unity, our healing, and our independence. And it is for every child of Africa, regardless of where they were born." He then announced new updates to the program, a fast-track application system for elderly members of the diaspora, special identification cards for those awaiting full passport approval to allow for early relocation and access to healthcare and housing, and partnerships with airlines to provide discounted tickets for first-time African returnees. He also tackled one of the most sensitive aspects of the program, DNA testing. For applicants who lack documents, birth certificates, or family records, particularly the descendants of enslaved people, Traoré gave his assurance that a DNA match to African ethnic groups will be accepted as valid proof of origin. However, he warned of stringent anti-fraud measures. "This is not a loophole for opportunists," he declared. "This is a sacred homecoming for those who carry Africa in their blood, in their hearts, and in their actions." To safeguard the program's integrity, any applicant found to be using false claims, forged documents, or attempting to destabilize African nations under the guise of unity will be permanently banned. Traoré's vision extends far beyond passport. He outlined the next phase of his grand plan: a single African currency, a unified continental economy, and a pan-African welfare system where all Africans, whether they were born in Lagos or Louisiana, Kingston or Kinshasa, will have equal access to opportunity, protection, and prosperity. He ended his broadcast with a chilling yet powerful reflection. "For 500 years, our people were kidnapped, enslaved, and scattered. The world built its wealth upon our suffering. But now we rise, not in a spirit of revenge, but in a spirit of reunion. We are not just remembering who we are. We are becoming who we were always meant to be." As the sun rises over Ouagadougou, thousands have gathered near the United States of Africa passport headquarters, a newly built, state-of-the-art facility located just outside the capital. Security is tight but respectful. Flags from every African nation fly proudly next to banners that proclaim, "Welcome home, sons and daughters of Africa." Inside, the office is a hive of activity. Diplomats, legal experts, biometric specialists, and ancestry researchers are working around the clock to process the tsunami of applications. In less than 1 month, over 3 million people from the African diaspora have applied. Some arrive with detailed family trees. Others present faded photographs, oral histories passed down through generations, or DNA reports linking them to tribes like the Yoruba, Ashanti, Wolof, Igbo, Mandinka, or Zulu. Each applicant is treated with meticulous care. President Ibrahim Traoré, though not physically present, has released a written declaration that is rapidly going viral. To every African American, every Caribbean child, every Brazilian descendant, and every soul of the diaspora who has felt adrift in this world, know this: you were never lost, you were taken. And now, we are opening the door wide. Africa is not just a distant memory, it is your home. He confirms that the passport is now officially recognized by all member states of the African Union that have signed the Unity Accord. All remaining African nations are expected to achieve full integration by the end of the year. Even more revolutionary is the enforcement clause. Any country within Africa that denies visa-free entry to African passport holders, including diaspora members, will be sanctioned and cut off from intercontinental trade. The crowd erupts into cheers as this announcement is read aloud on national radio. In Ghana, Nigeria, South Africa, and Senegal, similar celebrations are unfolding. People are gathered around giant screens, watching interviews with elders and youth, celebrities and academics, all speaking about the rebirth of Pan-Africanism. In Barbados, schools are beginning to incorporate African history into their standard curriculum. In Jamaica, churches are dedicating their Sunday services to ancestral remembrance and prayers for unity. In Trinidad and Tobago, artists are creating murals that depict slave ships transforming into airplanes, landing in a free Africa. But not all the feedback is celebratory. The European Union has issued a cautious statement, warning of the program's unintended consequences. One American television anchor questioned the loyalty of African Americans who might choose to hold both United States and African passports. Some Western media outlets continue to portray Traoré as a radical, unpredictable figure, or even a threat to the established global order. Unfazed, Traoré issued a calm retort. Black unity is not a threat to the world, it is only a threat to the systems that were built on our division. This passport is not the end. It is the beginning. Next will come the currency, the shared economy, the united defense, and finally, our collective dignity. He adds that all African descendants will be eligible for land grants, full citizenship, free healthcare, and language integration programs upon permanently resettling on the continent. International financial organizations are stunned. The IMF and the World Bank have begun holding emergency sessions to evaluate how this might impact the global economic balance, especially as thousands of wealthy diaspora entrepreneurs start to relocate their businesses to Africa. Traoré's dream is becoming a reality. In a final symbolic gesture, he signed an executive decree designating August 6th, the date the very first diaspora passport was issued, as a continental holiday. African Reconnection Day. On this day, schools will close, parades will be held, and across the continent, people will light candles in memory of the ancestors who dreamed of this moment, but never lived to witness it. From Harlem to Harare, from Kingston to Kisangani, a single chant is starting to echo. One Africa, one people, one future. And at the center of it all stands a young soldier who has become a statesman, Captain Ibrahim Traoré. He is not just the president of Burkina Faso, but the architect of the largest black unification movement in modern history. The world is watching, but Africa is on the move. Subscribe for more stories of African resilience. Like this video if it opened your eyes, and share it with anyone who needs to see Africa's true potential.